Over here in the UK, we have some of the best pork and beef in the world. If you think about breeds like the Angus, the Hereford, and on the pork side, the Berkshire, all originated here in the UK. And relatively speaking, our animal welfare is pretty good too. But there are obviously lots of different things that define great meat. Some of the best tasting beef in the UK is extremely lean. For some people and cultures, they're not looking for a huge amount of fat, and that's kind of what it's prized for. As well as the taste, you've got the color, the tenderness, all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to cooking the modern day barbecue, the UK doesn't have a particularly long history of doing that. Add into that the way that we generally rear and feed our animals, we don't typically have the fattiest cuts. But I think we do pretty well, and some people would prefer flavor, welfare, all that kind of stuff over just really moist, fatty meat. But putting all of that aside, over the last few years, a lot of the barbecue focused people have been really enjoying the Swift brand of pork ribs that are sold in farm foods. They're sold in other places as well, such as online butchers, and have been for many, many years, but they've come into popularity recently because you can go down to your local farm foods and pick up a rack. And for those of you not in the UK, farm foods is a pretty well priced, mostly frozen food, low margin, high volume food store, and they've been selling Swift brand of pork ribs for a couple of years. The reason why the barbecue guys like them is because generally they're nice, thick and meaty, they've got a lot of fat in them, and they just work well for this style of cooking. There'll be plenty of you who watch this who are very familiar with the Swift brand, particularly those of you in the States. Also, something that's been bugging me a lot is I see people refer to them as the farm foods ribs and talk about them as if farm foods produce them and are surprised when they're of good quality. But Swift ribs that are sold in farm foods are no more farm foods brand than Heinz baked beans that are sold in farm foods. Just to clear that up. Anyway, I like the Swift brand ribs for their meatiness, the thickness, the fact that you don't get many shiners on them. And someone messaged me a couple of weeks ago and let me know that farm foods are now selling a Swift brand boneless pork butt. So exactly the same, produced in the USA by Swift, sold in farm foods, skin off, nice thick fat cap on it. And just like those ribs, they're priced by the unit rather than by weight. So you can have a good rummage around and pick up the biggest one. I think this came to about £5.25 a kilo. Anyway, I thought I'd pick one up, cook it, show you how this comes out, and use this as an opportunity just to show you how I like to cook pork shoulder on the pellet grill for pulled pork. So I'm actually gonna open this up in this little tray just to save sterilizing my board after this. Ignore that, this isn't gonna work. So what we've got here is a typical deboned pork shoulder or pork butt. Nice little fat cap on it, and just as you'd expect, it's been deboned, so it's pretty haggard on the inside. Would have looked something like that with the blade bone in there. I'm just gonna go through first off and check inside to make sure that there's no bone fragments, which can be pretty common on a deboned pork butt. Got a little money muscle in there. This looks like a pretty standard pork butt. Because I'm cooking this for pulled pork, I don't really care too much about that. So pretty much no trimming to be done on this. Gonna season it with 2 parts pepper to 1 part salt. And also, I can completely see why people want to go for the grain-fed American or Australian briskets or pork ribs or beef ribs, because cooking a lean brisket isn't particularly fun. Overly lean beef ribs can be okay. But in my experience, when it comes to pork shoulder, even the leanest UK stuff does pretty well. I think from a fat content perspective and connective tissue perspective, you don't really need to be buying imported pork for that. And arguably you don't need to be buying imported stuff at all. But yeah, our pork ribs can be a bit sketchy for barbecue. Our brisket can be a little bit rough to deal with. But in my experience, even your local butcher in the UK can do you a pretty good pork shoulder. But we'll put this onto the pit and test it anyway. If nothing else, the price is pretty good. So today, purely for convenience, I'm gonna put this onto the pellet grill. I'm gonna fill up my smoke tube with some pellets, light that at one end, let it burn out, and that's going to provide some extra smoke flavor to this pork butt, given the pellet grill doesn't produce a huge amount of smoke flavor or color. I'm using the Pit Boss mesquite pellets just because they're the ones I like, and I'm going to set my pellet grill to 225 Fahrenheit or 110 Celsius. Going to cook there nice and low, nice and smoky for a couple of hours, build up some good color, build up some good smoke flavor, and then we'll come back in a couple of hours and probably turn the temperature up. So that pulled pork is smoking away on the pellet grill, and a lot of people ask me why I just use salt and pepper for most of my barbecue rather than the more commercial flavored rubs. And the reason for that, if you're interested, is because I like my barbecue to taste like meat primarily, seasoning to bring the flavor of that meat up, i.e. salt and pepper, maybe garlic, smoke, and the sweetness of rendered fat. I generally don't want my barbecue and pulled pork to taste like Dr. Pepper or cherry Coke or any of that kind of stuff. So I like to keep it pretty simple. However, I do like a good sauce when it comes to pulled pork sandwiches, and that's exactly what I'm gonna make today. I think for pulled pork, the Carolinas have it down best, but I've done quite a few South Carolina inspired vinegar-based sauces, my personal favorite when it comes to pulled pork. So in this video, I'm gonna make up a nice mustard-based sauce. It's really, really easy to do. You don't have to cook it. It's delicious. Make it and let me know what you think. Recipe for this would be down below, obviously, but we'll start off with some mustard. This is just American style hot dog mustard, French's brand. Light brown sugar, honey, ketchup, Worcestershire sauce, apple cider vinegar, Chipotle chili paste. You can just use a can of Chipotle as an adobo sauce. Red pepper flakes, black pepper, garlic powder, and a big pinch of salt. And that is a nice, slightly sweet, tangy, mustardy, perfectly acceptable mustard barbecue sauce. And as always, taste and adjust to your preference. That's ready to go. That can go into the fridge for probably up to 10 days, not sure. Quick check in on this. Looking nice, color's looking good. It's been about 2.5 hours. So I'm gonna crank the temperature on this pellet grill up to 250 Fahrenheit or 120 Celsius. We'll let this keep cooking. 5 hours since this cook started. Looking good, nice and dark. You can see that the fat cap is starting to render nicely. Temp wise, I'd say maybe 150, something like that. 152. So not quite at the wrap stage yet, but what I will do, turn this pit up to 275 Fahrenheit or 135 Celsius. Really just take this to the point I want to wrap it and then get it tender. So about 6.5 hours into this cook, total cook time. Just checking in on this, fat cap is all nice and rendered, and I'm looking for an internal temperature of around 170 plus, which is about 76 Celsius. And we're bang on 170. So I'm gonna take it inside, wrap it in some tin foil. So about 9 hours on the dot after this went on. This is perfectly tender all the way round, and it was actually done about 15 minutes ago, which is why the pellet grill's off. But this little man was causing me some problems as usual. So I turned the pellet grill off, so I didn't get a chance to film it. And because it's quite cold tonight, I'm gonna leave it out here to rest. That way it'll get to a nice pulling temperature quicker than if I brought it inside. So this pork shoulder is off, it's rested. I'm gonna make up some pulled pork sandwiches with this using that nice mustard barbecue sauce. But before that, for those of you in the UK, if you're after a really nice squishy sandwich roll, and maybe you're not into making your own, I highly recommend these Marks & Spencer's Japanese milk buns. I've been using these a lot recently when I'm not necessarily making a burger, but I want a nice squishy, fluffy sandwich roll. It's not sweet in any way. It's infinitely better than any brioche on the market. And yeah, perfect for barbecue sandwiches. Definitely recommend checking these out. Anyway, let's pull this pork shoulder apart. Ooh, looks good, nice and dark. That fat cap looks beautifully rendered. That is tender. So we'll let all those juices from the wrap go in. And yeah, I think for a pellet grill, that's not looking too bad. Get that nice dark black bark. Anyway, let's pull into it. Went up and did the kids' bedtime and thought that I'd given it enough time to cool down, but clearly not. Anyway, look how juicy that is. That's actually the money muscle, but that is ridiculous. You probably wouldn't win any money in competitions with doing this to the money muscle, but look at that bark. Definitely make sure that gets all cut up and thrown in there. I'll be honest, I was talking quite a lot about how British pork is more than fatty enough for good pulled pork, and I still stand by that. I don't think you need any more fat, but I do have to say just how juicy this is. Definitely not complaining, just absolutely dripping. This is gonna make a great pulled pork sandwich. Looks good. Pour over some of that mustard barbecue sauce. That is a perfect pulled pork sandwich in my opinion. This is gonna be one of those ones where I'm gonna be cleaning up grease from my porcelain floor for days. Firstly, I'm gonna taste some of this pork straight up. Good, needs more salt. It really is just dripping fat. And I'm gonna have to show you what's in the bottom of this tray in a second. Again, it's just swimming in fat. That mustard barbecue sauce is so good. And when you get a bite of that bark as well, perfect. So that was very good, very, very good. However, I think I should have wrapped it a little bit later. In fact, I think this pork butt could have gone all the way through completely unwrapped. This sounds completely anecdotal for an American pork butt, but there is so much fat in this, and that really comes through when you're eating the pulled pork. So I'm gonna show you this in the bottom of the pan. So all of that is fat. You can see that all of that fat is just kind of soaked to the bottom. There is a lot of it. Hopefully you can see just how deep that is. But that's not all. I had a drip pan under my pork butt that you may have seen, same one as this. And I noticed whilst it was cooking there, the usual amount of water was coming out, but also a huge amount of fat. So once the pork butt was cooked, I separated that water and all the other stuff that came out of it and drained the fat, and I got that. This is what came out during the cook. Actually smells pretty good. Probably use that for flour tortillas. In fact, that was all the fat that I don't want in my pulled pork. I've obviously left some in there. It helps to keep it nice and moist. Everything I just poured out was surplus to requirement. Very, very fatty. Final thoughts though, this aside, overall it's a great pork butt. Flavor wise, it's definitely flat. There's not a huge amount of pork flavor going on. There is some, but it just tastes like cheap supermarket meat, in my personal opinion. If you're going for all out dripping pulled pork, if you're looking for some relatively cheap pulled pork, this might be for you. Would I personally buy it again? Maybe, for one reason. If I want a big piece of pork shoulder with a good fat cap on it to add to my trimmings to make up a bigger batch of sausage, boneless, this would be perfect. But as a pork shoulder for pulled pork, unless you want a completely fail-safe option where you know you're definitely not going to dry it out, I would definitely recommend going for something more local. Overall, I enjoyed that. I'm glad I picked it up, glad I cooked it. Always good to have lots of pulled pork on hand. I do a lot of leftovers, particularly for my wife. One thing I do recommend from this video is making up that mustard barbecue sauce. I really like it, works great with pork. Mix it 50-50 with some mayonnaise as well, and you've got a perfect honey mustard mayo dipping for chicken tenders, fries, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I hope you liked that video. Thanks for sticking around if you did stick around for this long. If you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing. It really, really does help me out. So all you have to do is just click that button. Really easy for you, really, really helps me out, helps me to continue to make these videos and spend money on this stuff. And hopefully I'll see you next week for another video.